Well, here we are again with another TNA Impact review, baby. This Impact felt a little better than the last one, but I still have an issue with the main event. I believe, and if you saw my title from below, it shouldn't have been the main event. That's just my perspective about this. But let's talk about the rest of the show. Low-Key and Joe, they actually had an interview before their match against the Hardys, which felt really good to see. I gotta say this about TNA. This time around, they actually focused on giving the talent time to talk. They gave them a chance to actually do some interviews. Most of the talent did some interviews. Then there was some really weird segments that, really? But still, we got a chance to actually hear them talk, which TNA notoriously doesn't do much anymore. But seeing Low-Key talk along with Joe was actually good, and it made sense going into the match. Was this a good match between them and the Hardys? It was pretty good. But here's the problem. We know this was just thrown together, this tournament, because it had nothing to do. But I will take it for what it is. We don't even get this in WWE often. And I understand some people's point of view that seeing this is like they don't have an idea what to do. But still, when do you usually see tag team wrestling? I'm sorry, the only time when there was ever great wrestling that I remember from either WWE and TNA was when Beer Money was facing the Motor City Machine Guns, and there were only 2 tag teams. That was all they had. But they were more entertaining than what WWE was throwing out. So I'll take this for what it was. The Hardys won, which I kind of feel like, why couldn't Low-Key and Joe win it? Unless this is the Hardys going to take over for the Wolves, I'm not sure. I kind of wanted Low-Key and Joe to win this because it would have been good to see the X Division champion as the TNA Tag Team champion as well, giving us something more because now the titles have been consolidated. Now, since I was talking about what's happening with the Wolves, the little segment between Storm and Davey Richard was actually very good. It makes you wonder, what is Davey Richard going to do? This also kind of telegraphs what's going to happen when the Hardys go up against the Wolves. Will they actually win or not? If they lose, they kind of telegraphed it early. But then it could be compensated for it because we don't have that many feuds going on in TNA right now. Even though we did get something here, we don't have that many. And both companies are notoriously known for not doing very good feuds. But I gotta say this in this show, it actually was interesting to see how many feuds we actually had. We got basically a possibility between Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. Then we got Samuel Shaw dealing with Gunner. I got an issue with it. For the simple reason that they should have done this months ahead of time. And well, not months ahead of time, more months ago. Let's be honest here. When they were having the Anderson, Shaw, and Gunner situation, if this was done around that time, this would have made so much more sense. You could have kept Anderson face, you could have kept Gunner heel, and you could have gone this way with Shaw, and it would have made a better flow of the show. Well before the show began to get really crappy before Bound for Glory. Let's be honest here. But I will say this. Was the opening of Shaw and Brittany good? It wasn't bad. Seeing them rolling around again, one to wonder, Shaw, you see a little bulge in his package. Even if he's not interested in her in real life, he got a little interested. And I don't blame her. I'd be interested in Brittany myself. But I can understand that segment of it. The only issue I have is that it's kind of a couple of months too late. But it could still get over, which it can if the creepy bastards, not bastard, actually works out. Gunner basically gets choked out, and then we got these two together. But you guys tell me below, is this a couple of months too late or not? For me personally, it feels a little too late, but even if it is a couple of months too late for it, it could still get over. So that makes one interesting feud we could possibly have in the future. Here's another. The Rockstar Spud segment. I was going to make this as my title, Spud Rules. But I had to leave this one out because as entertaining as this feud is, and I love this feud, Rockstar Spud is so well over. He is beloved. And a little poke at the WWE saying, I'm with Spud. You can get that shirt for $9.99. That's a little poke at the WWE in my perspective. You guys tell me below. But Spud with Jeremy was so well done. For me, I love that segment. Seeing EC3 come out and being called a wanker. EC wanker. EC wanker. If you don't like it, tough. I still believe the American hardcore icon in EC3 does not deserve that. And hearing him have a big nose bastard was wrong on Spud's account, and he almost got his head knocked off. But then Eli came in and saved him. But here's something I have a problem with. And it's not the feud between Spud and EC3. It's Tyrus. I've said this and I still agree with this. It was a good thing for him coming to TNA. For one simple reason, he got fucked over by TNA. Well, not TNA. You know, I'm getting frustrated because of how WWE treated him and how Tyrus himself is acting. You could tell me if I'm wrong or not, but this is how I feel. The Funkasaurus, Brodus Clay, was fucked over seriously by WWE because of what he said on Facebook, I believe it was. He was given a terrible gimmick, and he ran with it, and he got somewhere with it. Not to a great extent, but he did somewhere. But it was because he got fucked in the first place. He goes to TNA now. But I still see traces of the Funkasaurus in him. Does this mean he's a great talent? He's an average talent. I never said he would be great, but it doesn't mean he couldn't still get over as a talent in TNA, and he can be beloved or he can be totally hated. But the problem I have, the issue I have, is simple. I still see the Funkasaurus attitude there. I just see it. I still see it. And his in-ring style is still that of the Funkasaurus. I would love to see him change his in-ring style. He needs to change it. His attitude, of course, EC3 is going to cover that. He's going to mask it because of what he had acted beforehand. You could see he is not good. He could become better, but EC3 will cover for that. But his in-ring work, when you saw him going with EC3 versus the Hardys, they were shocked he got pinned. They were shocked. And that is not good. I said something like this last week, and I say it now again. I'm still in for Tyrus to make it. But Tyrus needs to do a retooling. He needs to change. If he doesn't change his in-ring work, and he doesn't improve his basically his talking ability, then he really didn't learn anything when he got screwed from WWE. He didn't. I'm just saying. Now, the things that didn't make much sense to me. The match between Tommy Dreamer and Devon versus Bram and Magnus, the hardcore match. It's been done. It's been done a whole bunch of times. But why did they have to win? I'm sorry. ECW has been played out too much. For me personally, I want to see a clean sweep between Bram and Magnus. I'd rather just see Bram get this spotlight than Bram and Magnus, for the simple reason that this is really meant for Bram. Bram is the one who's trying to become the hardcore legend. It's not Magnus. Magnus is not that character. And seeing this is kind of a head scratcher because you're going like, look, Bram went through Devon and kicked his butt. He went through the abyss and really kicked his butt. If he goes through Tommy Dreamer and kicks his butt, it would establish him even more as a hardcore, the king of hardcore, a hardcore legend up and coming. But doing this doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence that Bram is going to get over it all. Doing this doesn't make me feel that Magnus is going to get over, where he shouldn't even be getting over in this respect as a hardcore type of character. He's not. So I didn't see something very good from this. Was it a good match? Yes, it was. I'm not taking away the work they did in the ring. I'm not taking away from Devon, Dreamer, Magnus, or Bram. But I feel the entire situation should not be done at all. This should be only for Bram. Only. I am Bram. I am the hardcore legend. And nobody's better than me. Not even my bud. Not even my brother Magnus. This should be Bram. But that's not what we get it. The next thing that didn't make a lot of sense. Manic with this guy. Really? I don't even know how to pronounce the guy's damn name. He seems he's Indian or Arabic. I don't know. And I'm not trying to go off on saying this guy's Arabic or Indian and like Jinder Mahal and the Great Khali. I don't know. With his accent, he sounds Indian. From India. But unless they really elaborate on this, it's not going to make much sense. And to be honest, I'm not against Manic, but he just doesn't feel like the right person to be doing this. It should be Storm. But that doesn't mean Storm will not be next week the person to talk about it next. It's a possibility Storm will be talking to this guy next week. Unless they're going to drag this out with... Like I said, I'm not against Manic, but I just don't feel like his character is strong enough to be talking. He's just not a good talker. It's just me. Now, and I'm doing this one first before the final thing. The World Heavyweight Championship match between the Robert Roode and the MVP. I could leave this last, but you know what I want to talk about. The opening of this show was really good. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy how Roode talked. It showed a lot of passion. It showed a lot of understanding. His character was pretty good there. Admittedly, when they gave him the backstage segment, the interview, he felt very generic. It just didn't feel like he was talking with passion. He was talking about what happened to him being gone for 7 weeks, but I think he lost it when he wanted to explain why he has this passion. I think it would have been better they did not do that interview. At least in that context of him saying, I've been gone for 7 weeks. Wrestling is my passion. I love it. I need it. I have to have it. I really believe trying to elaborate on that was a little too much for me personally. I would have liked him to just talk about MVP, saying basically, MVP, you screwed me. I won it from your boy. I won it from the one that you've used. I am going to beat your ass. I would have liked to see something more in that respect. Focus entirely on the moment and the emotion. The past might have not been the wisest thing to do here because he lost his character, became very generic. Now the match itself. It was a good match. It was like the second match of the night for me personally. It was not the main match of the night, as you know. And in the end, what happened? Robert Roode won. Lashley kicked his ass. And then he did not help up MVP because Lashley's angry at MVP for taking his spot early. So it's understandable about that. Does this mean Lashley's going to turn face? It's obvious he will. But how far are they going to drag this out? That's going to be the question. But I want to pose this to you. Do you believe this was the wisest thing to have this match as the main event? Because what I'm about to talk about, I believe should have been the main event. And that is Gail Kim versus Havoc. There's only one major problem that was for the entire thing. And Havoc was the problem. Havoc looked dominant. Havoc was destructive. I love her breast. She's beautifully well built. She has a beautiful face. She works very well in the ring. She screams out loud very well to intimidate the fans as well as the ref. She destroyed Gail Kim their match was the best match of the night. The only issue I have is that Havoc is not allowed to do a promo. Gail Kim did a very decent promo. She did. I actually enjoyed it. The attack outside the ring before going into the ring was actually very good. Gail Kim grabbing the mic saying, I don't give a fuck. You're going to start this match, I'm going to beat the shit out of somebody. That's what she relayed. And I believe that carried into the match, and it made the match so enriched. It was the match of the night, and it should have been the match of the night. But my issue is that they're keeping Havoc quiet. Why? By not allowing Havoc to talk, to do a promo, to be a strong silent type in a sense, is not working for me. Doesn't mean that Havoc's not getting over as a heel and getting plenty of heat. She's totally dominant. But for me personally, for Havoc to maintain this position and to feel dominant and fresh, she must be allowed to talk when she reaches the next opponent. By continuing leaving her quiet is going to take something from her character. She's been on Shine. She's been on several other women's promotions, women wrestling promotions. She's been on some ordinary promotions. She has done very well, but I've seen a couple of her clips and she can talk. We need this. If she doesn't talk eventually, people are going to get tired of her. And I know people are going to say, dude, are you stupid? There's no way people are going to get tired of her. They will. As much as people will say they won't, if you see the same thing over and over again as a squash match, it will eventually happen. Even Awesome Kong eventually talked. And she was the most, and is one of the most dominant women in wrestling in the last 10 years. I'm sorry. I love Trish Stratus. But if you look all around as a big woman, not just as a woman, Awesome Kong being on TNA was so dominant and made most of what was going on in WWE look weak. And I'm not saying Trish was weak. She wasn't. She had the all-around best look, the best in-ring work, the best dominance as a diva. But as a big woman, she never was. She's not a large-built woman. And Havoc and Awesome Kong are. But the key of this entire situation, you must let them talk periodically to keep them relevant. And if there's no relevance with Havoc, no talking, just destroying, you have no idea what her goal is. You have no idea how her character is unless she does it physically. And not everyone is into that. They want to hear what she can do, how she relays her feelings. And that was the only issue I had about that entire situation. But how do I felt about the show? I felt it was better than last week. It felt more character driven because it gave so many interviews. It wasn't that many matches, but it didn't need to. But I still believe that the main event match should have been the one before it. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane View. Please give me a comment below. Tell me how you feel, particularly about Havoc. My debate of the week will be a repeat of a previous debate of the week. And it's going to be about reality television. You guys have a good day and have a good night.